Imagine yourself drifting through the cold void of space, where stars whisper secrets and galaxies spin like forgotten dreams. But tonight, in a dingy bar on the edge of the Orion Arm, fate decided to play a cruel joke on me, Eli Thorne, a simple cargo hauler from Earth. I was just nursing my synth whiskey, trying to forget another failed run hauling scrap metal across the void, when this hulking alien stumbled in. He was a Zarathian from the shimmering world of Zarathia, all scales and tentacles, reeking of desperation and cheap booze. His eyes, glowing like dying embers, locked onto mine as he slammed his massive fist on the bar. "You human," he slurred in that guttural universal tongue, his voice echoing like thunder in a tin can. "You look like a man who appreciates fine things. How about a trade? My daughters, 3 beauties from the stars, for just one more drink. One lousy drink to drown my sorrows." I laughed it off at first, thinking it was some cosmic prank. Daughters for a drink? In what universe does that make sense? But then he gestured behind him, and there they were, stepping out from the shadows like visions from a fever dream. 3 stunning girls, no older than their early 20s in human years, with skin as pale as moonlit snow, hair cascading in waves of pure white silk, and ears that tapered into delicate, elfin points. They wore outfits that screamed elegance and allure, flowing silks that hugged their curvaceous forms, shimmering with embedded gems that caught the dim bar lights like captured stars. Lyra, the eldest, stood tall with a regal poise, her emerald eyes piercing through me. Zara, the middle one, had a mischievous spark in her violet gaze, her lips curved in a subtle smile that promised trouble. And little Nara, the youngest, clutched her sister's hands, her sapphire eyes wide with a mix of fear and curiosity. The bar fell silent. Patrons from a dozen species turned to stare, but the Zarathian father didn't care. He was broke, he said, his kingdom in ruins after a war with rival clans on Zarathia. He dragged his daughters across the stars, promising them a better life, but now he was willing to pawn them off for a swig of oblivion. "Take them," he growled, shoving a holographic deed into my hand. "They're yours. Strong, beautiful, loyal, just one drink." I should have walked away. I'm no hero, just a guy from the backwaters of Earth, scraping by on freelance gigs. But something in their eyes, the way Lyra lifted her chin defiantly, Zara's subtle tremble, Nara's innocent plea, stirred that stubborn human spark inside me. HFY, they call it back home. Humanity, fuck yeah. That unbreakable will to step up when the universe kicks you down. Before I knew it, I'd slapped my credit chip on the bar, buying him that damn drink. And just like that, in the blink of a nebula, I was the reluctant guardian of 3 alien princesses. As the father staggered out, laughing maniacally into the night, the girls turned to me. Lyra spoke first, her voice like a melody from a distant harp. "Human, Ili, was it? What do you intend to do with us now?" Her words carried a weight, a challenge, but beneath it, a vulnerability that tugged at my heart. I swallowed hard, the reality crashing down like a meteor shower. I don't know, but I won't hurt you. We'll figure this out together." Little did I know, this impulsive act would hurl us into a whirlwind of adventure, danger, and something far deeper, bonds that transcended species, forged in the fires of the cosmos. The station's hum vibrated through the floor as we left the bar, the girls trailing behind me like ethereal shadows. My ship, the Rusty Nebula, was docked nearby, a beat-up freighter with more patches than original hull. It wasn't much, but it was home. As we boarded, Nara tugged at my sleeve, her small hand surprisingly warm. "Are all humans as foolish as you?" she asked, tilting her head, those elfin ears twitching slightly. I chuckled, ruffling her white hair gently. "Foolish? Maybe, but we don't leave people, beings in the lurch." Zara smirked, crossing her arms under her ample bosom, the silk of her dress shifting enticingly. Foolish or brave, on Zarathia such acts are legends, but legends often end in tragedy. Lyra remained silent, scanning the ship's cramped quarters with a critical eye. The control room was a mess of blinking consoles and scattered tools, the living area barely big enough for one, let alone 4. "This is your domain," she finally said, her tone laced with disbelief. "We were raised in palaces of crystal and light. How will we survive here?" I rubbed the back of my neck, feeling the weight of my decision. "Look, I'm no king, but I've got food replicators, a decent med bay, and shields that can handle asteroid fields. We'll make do. First things first, let's get you settled. There's a spare bunk in the cargo hold I can convert." As I showed them around, the differences hit me like warp speed. Their movements were graceful, almost dance-like, their skin shimmering faintly under the artificial lights as if dusted with stardust. They spoke of Zarathia, a world of floating cities and bioluminescent forests, where their people wielded subtle psychic energies. But war had shattered it all, forcing their father into exile. Now, here they were, traded like commodities. That night, as the ship hummed into hyperspace toward my next delivery point, a mining colony on Epsilon Eridani, I couldn't sleep. The girls had claimed the bunk, huddled together in a pile of blankets I'd scrounged up. I watched them from the doorway, their white hair spilling like rivers of milk. Nara murmured in her sleep something about home, while Zara shifted restlessly. Lyra, ever vigilant, cracked one eye open. "You stare, human. Is it desire or pity?" I flushed, turning away. Neither, just wondering how I got here. "I'm Eli, by the way, Eli Thorne, ex-military, now just a spacer trying to pay the bills." She sat up, her dress slipping slightly off one shoulder, revealing the smooth curve of her pale skin. "Lyra, my sisters are Zara and Nara. We are of the Orales bloodline, heirs to what little remains of Zarathia's glory. Our father, he was once a lord, but addiction claimed him." Her voice softened, carrying a melody that soothed my frayed nerves. We talked into the wee hours, the ship's engines providing a rhythmic backdrop. She shared tales of Zarathian customs, rituals under twin moons where bonds were forged through shared dreams. I told her about Earth, bustling cities, endless oceans, and humanity's unyielding drive to explore. "We're not perfect," I admitted. "But we fight for what's right. That's HFY, humanity, fuck yeah. It's why I couldn't let him sell you like that." A faint smile touched her lips, those emerald eyes gleaming. "Perhaps there is strength in your folly, Eli Thorne." The next day brought our first challenge. As we dropped out of hyperspace near the colony, alarms blared. Pirates, scavengers from the outer rims, had locked onto us. "Incoming hail," the computer droned. "Surrender your cargo or be boarded." My heart raced. I wasn't armed for this. The rusty nebula was a hauler, not a warship. But as the pirate vessel loomed on the view screen, a sleek black cruiser bristling with cannons, I felt a surge of protectiveness. The girls were mine now, in a way my responsibility. Lyra stepped forward, her hands glowing with faint energy. "We are not helpless, Eli. Zarathians have gifts." Zara and Nara joined her, their eyes narrowing in focus. The battle was swift and surreal. As the pirates fired warning shots, rocking the ship, the sisters linked hands, channeling a psychic wave that disrupted the enemy's systems. Sparks flew from my consoles, but their power bought us time. I punched the thrusters, weaving through debris fields with the skill of a seasoned pilot. "Hold on," I yelled as we grazed an asteroid, the hull groaning in protest. Zara laughed, a sound like tinkling bells amid the chaos. "This is exhilarating. Humans drive like madmen." We escaped by the skin of our teeth, diving into a nebula cloud that masked our signature. As the adrenaline faded, I slumped in my chair, wiping sweat from my brow. Nara hugged me impulsively, her small form pressing against mine. "You saved us, Eli, again." "No," I said, grinning. "We saved each other." That moment marked the beginning. Over the following weeks, life aboard the rusty nebula transformed. The girls adapted with astonishing speed, their alien grace blending with my human grit. Lyra took to navigation like a natural, her psychic senses plotting courses through uncharted space. Zara, with her quick wit, tinkered with the engines, boosting efficiency in ways I'd never imagined. Nara, the dreamer, filled the ship with stories and songs from Zarathia, her voice turning mundane meals into feasts. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Cultural clashes arose, often hilariously. One evening, as I prepared a simple Earth meal, pasta from the replicator, Zara eyed it suspiciously. "This worm-like substance, is it alive?" I burst out laughing. "No, it's food, try it." She took a tentative bite, then moaned in delight, sauce smearing her perfect lips. "Divine, humans have hidden talents." Lyra watched us, her expression softening. "You treat us as equals, Eli. On Zarathia, females are revered but sheltered. Here we are free." As bonds deepened, so did the unspoken tensions. Their beauty was intoxicating, the way their white hair caught the light, their curvaceous figures moving with hypnotic fluidity. I'd catch myself staring, my mind wandering to forbidden thoughts, and they, in turn, seemed drawn to me, their touches lingering, eyes filled with curiosity about human affection. One night, after a close call with a solar flare, we gathered in the common area. The ship was quiet, stars streaking by outside. Nara curled up beside me, her head on my shoulder. "Tell us about love on Earth, Eli. Is it like our bonding rituals?" I hesitated, my pulse quickening. "Love, it's messy, passionate. We fight for it through thick and thin." Zara leaned in, her violet eyes locking onto mine. "Show us then. We're yours now, aren't we?" Lyra placed a hand on my knee, her touch electric. "Perhaps this trade was destiny, human. Let's see where it leads." As the ship hurtled through the void, I realized this was no mere guardianship. It was the start of something profound, a family born from chaos, a love defying the stars. But dangers lurked ahead, whispers of pursuers from Zarathia seeking to reclaim what was lost. Little did we know, our journey was just beginning, fraught with trials that would test our newfound unity to its core. The days blurred into a hypnotic rhythm aboard the rusty nebula, the ship's soft thrumming a constant companion as we sliced through the inky blackness of space. Whispers of pursuers from Zarathia hung in the air like distant thunder, but for now, they were just that, whispers. We'd picked up faint signals on the scanners, encrypted bursts that Lyra decoded as scout probes from her homeland, but nothing concrete enough to alter our course. Instead, we focused on the fragile equilibrium we'd built, a delicate dance of survival and discovery that pulled us closer with every shared glance and accidental brush of skin. I found myself drawn to the observation deck more often, a small bubble of reinforced glass at the ship's bow where the stars stretched out like an infinite canvas. It was there, one artificial evening as the lights dimmed to simulate night, that the tension simmering beneath our interactions began to bubble to the surface. Lyra joined me first, her presence announced by the faint rustle of her silken gown, the fabric whispering against her pale skin like a lover's sigh. She stood beside me, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from her body, a subtle heat that seemed to pulse with her inner energy. "The void is vast," she murmured, her emerald eyes reflecting the pinpricks of light outside. "Yet here we are, four souls bound by a drunken whim. Do you regret it, Eli?" I turned to her, my breath catching at the way her white hair framed her face, cascading over shoulders that curved invitingly under the thin straps of her dress. The garment clung to her like a second skin, accentuating the swell of her breasts and the gentle flare of her hips, a reminder of the exotic allure that had first captivated me in that seedy bar. "Regret? No," I replied, my voice lower than intended, laced with a husky edge born from sleepless nights pondering exactly this proximity. "But it's complicated. You're not just cargo, Lyra, you're extraordinary." She stepped closer, her elfin ears twitching slightly as if attuned to the quickening of my pulse. Her hand brushed mine on the railing, sending a jolt through me, electric and undeniable. "Extraordinary. On Zarathia, we are taught to channel our essence, to connect on levels humans can only dream of. But your raw humanity intrigues me, strong yet tender, a protector who blunders into heroism." Before I could respond, Zara appeared in the doorway, her violet eyes gleaming with that mischievous spark. She sauntered in, her gown similarly provocative, the neckline plunging just enough to tease the eye, her movements fluid and predatory like a cat in heat. "Am I interrupting?" She purred, sliding between us with effortless grace. Her body pressed lightly against mine as she leaned over the railing, her hip grazing my thigh in a way that felt anything but accidental. Nara followed soon after, her sapphire eyes wide and innocent, though there was a budding awareness in them now, a curiosity that mirrored her sister's. She wore a simpler version of their attire, the fabric hugging her youthful curves, her small frame nestling against Lyra's side. "The stars look like fireflies," she said softly, but her gaze flicked to me, lingering on my form with a shy intensity. The air in the deck thickened, charged with an unspoken energy that made my skin tingle. We'd shared stories and laughs, but this felt different, suspenseful, like the calm before a storm. I could sense their Zarathian gifts at play, subtle waves of empathy that amplified emotions, drawing out desires I'd tried to bury under layers of responsibility. "We should talk about what's next," I said, attempting to steer us back to practicality, but my words faltered as Zara turned, her hand trailing lightly down my arm. "Talk, or act," she whispered, her breath warm against my ear. Her fingers danced along my sleeve, sending shivers racing across my skin. The erotic undercurrent was impossible to ignore now, the way her body arched slightly, inviting touch, her white hair spilling over one shoulder to expose the elegant line of her neck. Lyra's eyes darkened, a flush creeping across her pale cheeks. "Zara speaks true. On our world, bonds are forged through shared essence, mind, body, spirit. You've claimed us, Eli, in the eyes of the stars. But do you understand what that means?" I swallowed hard, my body responding despite my mind's protests. The suspense built like a coiling spring, every glance and touch heightening the anticipation. Nara watched with wide eyes, her small hand slipping into mine, her touch tentative yet electrifying. "We're not afraid," she added, her voice a soft melody. "You've shown us kindness, let us show you ours." The moment stretched, taut, and intoxicating. I could feel the pull, the magnetic draw of their alien beauty, their forms so perfectly sculpted, daubed in that ethereal glow. Zara leaned in first, her lips brushing my jaw in a featherlight kiss that ignited a fire within me. "Let go, human," she urged, her voice a sultry invitation. Explore what the universe has gifted you. My resolve cracked, and I pulled her closer, my hands finding the curve of her waist, the silk of her dress sliding under my palms like liquid desire. She gasped softly, her body molding against mine, her breasts pressing firmly as our mouths met in a kiss that was both gentle and urgent. The taste of her was exotic, sweet like nectar from forbidden fruits, her tongue dancing with mine in a rhythm that spoke of ancient rituals. Lyra watched for a heartbeat, then joined, her hand cupping my face as she claimed her own kiss, deeper, more possessive. Her elfin ears brushed my cheek, sending sparks down my spine. Nara hesitated, but Zara drew her in, guiding her small hand to my chest, where my heart thundered like a warp drive. Feel him, Zara whispered. Our savior. The deck became a sanctuary of exploration, the stars bearing witness to our unfolding intimacy. Clothes whispered to the floor in a cascade of shimmering fabric, revealing their flawless bodies, pale skin luminous under the starlight, curves that begged to be traced, touched, worshipped. Lyra's breasts were full and firm, nipples hardening under my gaze, while Zara's lithe form promised agility and passion. Nara, more delicate, trembled with excitement, her innocence adding a layer of tender eroticism. I laid them down on the plush seating that lined the deck, the cushions yielding under our weight. My hands roamed, eliciting moans that echoed softly in the confined space. Lyra arched as my fingers trailed down her stomach, dipping lower to find her warmth, slick and inviting. Yes, Eli, she breathed, her psychic energy amplifying the sensations, making every touch feel like a cascade of pleasure. Zara straddled my lap, her white hair curtaining us as she ground against me, her hips moving in a hypnotic sway. The friction built suspense, a teasing prelude that had me aching for more. You're so strong, she murmured, her violet eyes locking onto mine, filled with a hunger that mirrored my own. Nara knelt beside us, her small hands exploring tentatively, learning the contours of my body with wide-eyed wonder. The erotic tension peaked as we intertwined, bodies slick with sweat, the air heavy with the scent of arousal. I entered Lyra first, her gasp mingling with the ship's hum, her walls clenching around me in rhythmic pulses that seemed tuned to my every thrust. Zara's mouth found my neck, nipping and sucking, while Nara's fingers danced across my back, adding layers of sensation that blurred the lines between us. We moved together in a symphony of desire, suspense weaving through every moment. Would the scanners blare with incoming threats? Would our fragile bond shatter under the weight of reality? But in that haze, nothing mattered but the connection. Lyra climaxed with a cry that resonated through my soul, her energy flooding me with waves of ecstasy. Zara followed, her body shuddering as I claimed her, our rhythms syncing in perfect harmony. Nara, sweet Nara, approached last, her innocence giving way to passion as I guided her gently. Be my first, she whispered, and the act was tender, erotic in its purity, building to a crescendo that left us all breathless. As we lay entangled, heart slowing, the suspense lingered, not just from the external dangers but from the deepening emotions. Whispers of Zarathian pursuers echoed in my mind, but for now, in this cocoon of stars and skin, we were invincible. Yet, as Lyra's hand traced lazy circles on my chest, I sensed a shadow approaching, a twist in our tale that would demand more than passion to survive. The scanners pinged softly in the distance, a subtle reminder that our idyll was temporary. Zara stirred, her lips curving in a satisfied smile. There's more to come, Eli, dangers and delights. I held them close, the erotic afterglow mingling with a growing unease. The universe was vast and unforgiving, but with them by my side, I felt ready for whatever lurked in the shadows. Little did I know, the true test was hurtling toward us, a confrontation that would blend our newfound intimacy with the raw fury of battle. The ping from the scanners grew insistent, slicing through the haze of our shared bliss like a knife through silk. I disentangled myself gently from the warm tangle of limbs, Lyra's fingers lingering on my skin as if reluctant to let go, while Zara propped herself up on one elbow, her violet eyes narrowing at the console across the deck. Nara stirred sleepily, her sapphire gaze fluttering open to the red glow of the alert lights that now bathed us all in an ominous crimson hue. What is it? She whispered, her voice still thick with the remnants of our intimacy, but edged with a fear that mirrored the knot twisting in my gut. I pulled on my pants hastily, the cool air of the ship raising goosebumps on my sweat-dampened skin, and strode to the panel. The display flickered with incoming data, multiple signatures closing in fast, their trajectories arcing toward us like predators scenting blood. Ships, I muttered, my mind racing through possibilities. 3 of them armed to the teeth. Zarathian markings, if the transponders are right. Your father's people, or worse? Lyra was at my side in an instant, her naked form graceful even in haste as she draped a loose robe over herself, her white hair disheveled but her expression sharpening into the regal poise of a warrior princess. Not fathers, she said, her emerald eyes scanning the readouts with a practiced intensity. These are from the rival clans, the Dravex enforcers. They've been hunting us since the war. They must have tracked the deed transfer from the Ili. They're not here for negotiation. They want us back, or eliminated. The words hung heavy, igniting a dramatic surge of adrenaline that coursed through my veins like liquid fire. Zara joined us, slipping into her gown with fluid motions, her mischievous spark now replaced by a fierce determination. "We fight," she declared, her voice a thrilling growl that sent shivers down my spine. Nara, clutching a blanket to her chest, looked between us with wide eyes, her curiosity about this new threat mingling with a surprising resolve that belied her youth. "What can I do?" she asked, her small elfin ears perking up as if attuned to the encroaching danger. I punched commands into the console, diverting power to shields and engines, the rusty nebula groaning in response as it prepared for evasive maneuvers. The universe outside the viewport warped slightly as we accelerated, but the pursuers were gaining, their vessels sleek and predatory, cutting through space like sharks in dark waters. A hail crackled over the comms, a guttural voice booming in universal. "Human vessel, surrender the Orali's heirs. They are property of Dravex now. Resist and we vaporize you." My blood boiled at the word property, a reminder of the drunken trade that had started this all, but now it fueled a HFY fire within me, humanity's unyielding defiance against the cosmos's cruelties. Like hell, I snarled back, though I didn't transmit it. Instead, I turned to the girls, my voice steady despite the storm brewing inside. "Strap in, we're not running forever. Lyra, can you jam their targeting systems with your gifts?" She nodded, her hands already glowing with that faint psychic energy, a mesmerizing aura that pulsed in time with her heartbeat. As we hurtled toward a nearby asteroid belt, a chaotic maze of tumbling rocks that could either shield us or doom us, the first shots lanced out from the lead ship, brilliant plasma bolts streaking past our hull with hair-raising proximity. The impact vibrations rattled through the deck, and Nara yelped, gripping her seat as Zara worked furiously at a secondary console, rerouting auxiliary power to weapons I barely knew we had. The chase intensified, thrilling in its raw peril, each dodge and weave a testament to our budding synergy. I piloted with a focus I'd honed in Earth's old sims, banking hard to slip behind a massive asteroid, using its gravity to slingshot us forward. But the Dravex were relentless. One ship clipped a rock, exploding in a spectacular bloom of fire that lit the void like a newborn star, yet the other 2 pressed on, their cannons charging for a devastating volley. "They're locking on," Zara shouted, her voice laced with dramatic urgency as alarms wailed. Lyra closed her eyes, channeling her essence outward in a wave that disrupted their electronics, screens flickering, their shots going wide. But it drained her, sweat beading on her pale forehead, her body trembling from the effort. I reached out, squeezing her hand, feeling the curious spark of our connection amplify her power, a surprising fusion of human will and Zarathian mysticism that made the interference stronger, buying us precious seconds. In that heart-pounding moment, as debris pelted our shields like cosmic hail, Nara surprised us all. "I can help," she cried, her small frame alight with an inner glow I'd never seen. She extended her hands, and suddenly, illusions bloomed around us, phantom copies of the rusty nebula scattering in all directions, ghostly decoys that confused the enemy sensors. It was her gift, untapped until now, a thrilling revelation that turned the tide. The Dravex fired wildly, wasting energy on shadows, while we looped back for a counterattack. The climax built to a fever pitch as I aligned our meager railgun, a relic from my military days, and unleashed a barrage. The shots punched through the second ship's defenses, breaching its core in a dramatic eruption of plasma and wreckage that scattered across the belt like glittering confetti. 1 down, 1 to go, but the last vessel, larger and more armored, bore down on us with vengeful fury, its boarding clamps extending like claws. "They're trying to board," I yelled, the ship shuddering as grapples latched on. The airlock hissed with intrusion alerts, and we scrambled to the corridor, arming ourselves with whatever we had, my old pulse rifle, makeshift energy blades from Zara's tinkering. Lyra's eyes met mine, a mix of fear and fierce love that made my chest ache. "Together," she said, her voice a thrilling anchor in the chaos. The breach exploded inward, Dravex warriors pouring through, hulking figures in armored suits, tentacles writhing beneath visors, weapons humming with lethal charge. The fight was visceral, dramatic in its intensity. I fired first, dropping one with a precise shot to the helmet, shards flying as it crumpled. Zara leaped into the fray with acrobatic grace, her blade slicing through armor in a spray of sparks, her curvaceous form a blur of lethal elegance. Lyra unleashed psychic blasts, staggering foes with invisible force, her white hair whipping like a banner of defiance. Nara, curious and surprisingly bold, used her illusions to disorient them, ghostly duplicates of us multiplying, drawing fire away. One warrior lunged at me, its tentacle wrapping around my leg, pulling me off balance. Pain shot through me as I hit the deck, but in a thrilling twist, Nara focused her power, creating a mirage of me exploding in flames. The creature recoiled, and I seized the moment, driving my rifle butt into its faceplate, shattering it in a satisfying crack. The battle raged through the ship, corridors echoing with grunts and energy discharges, the air thick with ozone and the metallic tang of blood. We pushed them back, step by grueling step, our bond forging us into an unbreakable unit. But the leader, a massive Dravex commander with glowing runes on his armor, cornered us in the engine room, his voice booming through a translator. "The airs are ours. Your human interference ends here." He charged, weapons blazing, and in a dramatic surge, Lyra threw herself in front of me, her psychic shield absorbing the blast but shattering under the strain. She collapsed, gasping, her pale skin marred by burns. Rage ignited within me, a HFY climax of pure, unfiltered fury. I roared, tackling the beast, my fists pounding against armor until cracks formed. Zara and Nara flanked him, their combined gifts overwhelming his defenses, illusions confusing, blades piercing. In a surprising twist, as he fell to his knees, he rasped a revelation. "Fools! Your father didn't sell you for a drink. He traded you to the human, to hide you from us. The prophecy speaks of a union that will shatter empires." The words hung, curious and earth-shaking, as I delivered the final blow, his body slumping lifeless. Silence descended, broken only by our ragged breaths. Lyra stirred weakly in my arms, her emerald eyes fluttering open. "Ili, what did he mean?" I held her close, the thrill of victory mingling with the surprise of this new mystery, our bodies aching but alive. The ship stabilized, drifting free from the wreckage, but questions swirled like the asteroids outside. A prophecy? A hidden truth behind the trade? The universe had just upended our world again, leaving us breathless, curious for what lay ahead in the shadows of revelation. As we tended wounds in the med bay, the dramatic echoes of battle fading, Zara bandaged a gash on my arm, her touch tender yet charged with unspoken curiosity. "This changes everything," she murmured, her violet eyes searching mine. Nara huddled nearby, her illusions flickering faintly as she processed the commander's words. The surprise lingered, a thrilling undercurrent that promised more twists, more dangers, but also deeper bonds forged in the fire of survival. We patched the hull, scavenged what we could from the debris, and set a new course, away from known lanes, toward uncharted space where answers might hide. But as the stars streaked by once more, I couldn't shake the feeling that our intimate union had awakened something larger, a cosmic force drawing us toward an inevitable confrontation. Lyra rested her head on my shoulder, her voice a soft whisper. "Whatever comes, we're ready. Because of you?" The rusty nebula hummed onward, a beacon of HFY resilience, but the prophecy's shadow loomed, curious and surprising, hinting at destinies intertwined beyond our wildest imaginings. The hum of the rusty nebula deepened as we ventured deeper into uncharted space, the stars blurring into luminous streaks that painted the viewport with ethereal trails. Lyra's head remained nestled against my shoulder, her white hair tickling my neck like a gentle reminder of the bonds we'd forged, not just in battle, but in the intimate depths of vulnerability. The med bay's soft lights cast a warm glow over us as we recovered, bandages and salves tending to the scars of our skirmish, but the prophecy's words echoed louder than any wound. A union to shatter empires? It sounded like the plot of some over-the-top Hollywood, yet here we were, four unlikely souls barreling toward whatever cosmic punchline awaited. I shifted slightly, careful not to disturb her, but the movement brought Zara's attention from across the room where she was fiddling with a salvaged Dravex scanner. Her violet eyes flicked up, a smirk playing on her lips as she sauntered over, her hips swaying in that hypnotic way that always seemed to heighten the drama of even the most mundane moments. "Resting on your laurels already, hero?" she teased, plopping down on my other side with exaggerated flair, her curvaceous form pressing against me just enough to stir memories of our earlier entanglement. Nara, perched on a nearby stool, giggled softly, her sapphire eyes sparkling with a mix of exhaustion and amusement, her elfin ears twitching as she watched the scene unfold. The awkwardness hit like a micro-meteorite. Here I was, sandwiched between two stunning alien beauties, with the third eyeing us like a spectator at a comedy show, all while the weight of an ancient prophecy loomed over us like a bad hangover. I cleared my throat trying to play it cool. Laurels, more like trying not to pass out from all the excitement. That commander's parting gift has me spinning. A prophecy? Really? Next thing you know, we'll be dodging space dragons or something. Zara leaned in closer, her breath warm against my ear, adding a layer of erotic tension that made my pulse quicken despite the fatigue. Oh, Ili, always the skeptic. On Zarathia, prophecies are as common as bad decisions, like father's trade. But this one? It speaks of a human bond igniting our latent powers, perhaps our activities, have already set it in motion. Her hand trailed lightly down my arm, fingers dancing over the bandage she'd just applied, turning a simple touch into something charged with promise and peril. Lyra lifted her head, her emerald gaze meeting Zara's with a dramatic intensity that could rival any interstellar opera. Activities? Is that what we're calling it now? She said, her voice laced with mock indignation, though a faint blush colored her pale cheeks. The drama escalated as she sat up straighter, her robe slipping just a fraction to reveal the curve of her shoulder, a subtle reminder of her vulnerability in the battle. This isn't a game, sister. If the prophecy is true, our union with Eli could unravel the Dravex hold on our world, or doom us all if we falter. Nara hopped off her stool, her small frame inserting itself into the huddle with endearing clumsiness, nearly toppling a med kit in the process. Doom? That sounds awful, but what if it's fun? Like Ili teaching us more Earth games while we shatter empires. Her innocence clashed hilariously with the gravity of the situation, eliciting a chuckle from me that broke the tension. She mimicked a heroic pose, puffing out her chest in exaggeration, her white hair flouncing like a comic book cape. Humanity, fuck yeah, right, Ili? I couldn't help but laugh outright, the sound echoing in the confined space and lightening the dramatic pall that had settled over us. HFY indeed, kiddo, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we need intel. That scanner you salvaged, Zara, any luck cracking it? She nodded, her mischievous spark returning as she activated the device, holographic displays flickering to life with swirling Zarathian runes. But as the data streamed in, the humor faded, replaced by a heightened drama that gripped us like a vice. The scans revealed not just remnants of the Dravex fleet, but a hidden beacon embedded in the deed from the bar, a tracking signal their father had planted deliberately. He didn't sell us for a drink, Zara whispered, her voice dropping to a thrilling hush. He sacrificed us to you, Ili, knowing the prophecy. We're the key to reclaiming Zarathia, and you're the catalyst, a human outsider to break the cycle of war. The revelation hung heavy, awkward in its implications. Me, a catalyst? I was just a spacer with a rusty ship and a penchant for bad decisions. Lyra's hand found mine, squeezing with a mix of reassurance and desperation, her touch sending sparks through me that blended comfort with the erotic undercurrents we'd explored. Father must have seen something in you that night, she said softly, her eyes searching mine. But now the Dravex know, more will come. As if on cue, the ship's alarms blared again, not with the sharp urgency of battle, but a steady warning of an anomaly ahead. We rushed to the bridge, the girls' gowns fluttering like flags of impending doom, my own disheveled state adding to the awkward comedy of it all. I slid into the pilot's seat, Nara clambering onto my lap for a better view in her enthusiasm, her weight a surprising but endearing distraction. "Oops, sorry," she squeaked, scrambling off with a blush that matched my own flustered expression. The viewport revealed a swirling vortex, a wormhole, unstable and uncharted, pulsing with energies that defied standard scans. "That's not on any maps," I muttered, heightening the drama as the ship shuddered, pulled inexorably toward it. Zara's fingers flew over the controls, trying to reverse thrust, but the pull was too strong. "It's artificial," she gasped. "Dravex tech or something older." Lyra's psychic senses flared, her body tensing beside me, her curvaceous form outlined against the glowing anomaly. "It's calling to us to the prophecy. We have no choice but to enter." The awkwardness peaked as we braced, Nara hugging my arm like a lifeline, her small breasts pressing innocently against me in the chaos, eliciting a humorous internal groan from me. Great timing, universe. With a lurch that sent tools clattering and us tumbling into each other in a heap of limbs and laughter-tinged panic, the rusty nebula plunged into the wormhole. Colors exploded around us, realities bending in ways that made my stomach flip. "Hold on," I yelled, but Zara's retort cut through. "To what? Your ego?" Her humor, even in the drama, kept us grounded as the ship spun through the tunnel of light. Emerging on the other side was like waking from a fever dream. The stars were different, constellations twisted into unfamiliar patterns, and dead ahead loomed a derelict space station, ancient and foreboding, orbiting a rogue planet shrouded in storms. Scans showed life signs aboard, faint but present, heightening the mystery and drama to unbearable levels. Survivors or traps? Lyra wondered aloud, her hand still in mine. We docked cautiously, the airlock hissing open to reveal corridors lined with glowing crystals, reminiscent of Zarathian architecture, but decayed, overgrown with bioluminescent vines. The awkward situations multiplied as we explored. Nara tripped over a vine, landing face first into a puddle of glowing goo that turned her white hair a temporary neon blue, prompting uncontrollable giggles from Zara. "You look like a space smurf," she howled, referencing an old Earth vid I'd shown them, the humor cutting through the tension like a laser. But the drama escalated when we reached the central chamber, a vast hall with holographic archives flickering to life at our approach. An AI voice, ancient and crackling, boomed, "The heirs have returned, bound to the human. The prophecy awakens." Projections swirled, depicting visions of Zarathia's fall, the Dravex rise, and a foretold union that would harness combined powers to restore balance. In the midst of this revelation, an awkward mishap struck. As I leaned in to examine a console, a hidden panel popped open, releasing a swarm of tiny, harmless but insistent cleaning drones that buzzed around us like overzealous bees. They targeted our clothes, mistaking us for debris, tugging at hems and straps with comical persistence. Lyra swatted at one clinging to her robe's neckline, her breasts nearly spilling free in the scuffle, her cheeks flaming as she shot me a mortified glance. "Ili, do something." I batted them away, laughing despite the drama, my hands accidentally brushing Zara's hip in the chaos, sending a spark of erotic memory through us both. Nara, still neon-haired, danced around dodging them, her laughter infectious. It's like a bad date with robots. We finally deactivated them with a psychic pulse from Lyra, but the interruption had lightened the heavy air, allowing us to absorb the archive's secrets. The prophecy detailed a ritual, a merging of essences on Zarathia's sacred moon, to unlock godlike powers against the Dravex. But it required complete trust, vulnerability, and intimacy on a scale we'd only begun to explore. As we gathered artifacts from the station, crystals that amplified their gifts, data chips with battle strategies, the drama heightened with a new alert, Dravex reinforcements emerging from the wormhole behind us. "They're here," Zara said, her voice a mix of thrill and fear. We raced back to the ship, the awkward humor of the drones forgotten in the pulse-pounding escape. Blasts rocked the station as we undocked, the rusty nebula straining under evasive maneuvers. Nara's illusions cloaked us once more, buying time, but one shot grazed our engines, sparking fires that I extinguished with frantic efficiency, sweat pouring down my back. In the heat of it, Lyra pulled me into a fierce kiss, her body pressing against mine amid the shaking bridge. "For luck," she breathed, the erotic charge fueling my resolve. Zara winked, adding humor, "Save some for the ritual lovebirds." We burst free, diving into another anomaly, the Dravex in hot pursuit. The chase was dramatic, engines screaming as we pushed limits, awkward collisions in the tight quarters, Nara bumping into me, her gooey hair leaving a streak on my shirt, prompting a shared laugh that bonded us tighter. Hours later, as we shook them off in a nebula cloud, exhaustion set in. We huddled together, the prophecy's weight pressing but our spirits buoyed by the mix of drama, awkwardness, and humor. "Whatever this ritual entails," I said, holding them close, "we'll face it together. Empires be damned." The ship steadied, charting towards Zarathia's sacred moon, but the journey promised more twists, dramatic confrontations, awkward revelations, and humorous mishaps that would test our union to its core. Yet in that moment, tangled in each other's arms, I felt the HFY spark brighter than ever, ready to ignite the stars. As the rusty nebula steadied its course towards Zarathia's sacred moon, the nebula cloud's swirling mists provided a temporary veil of safety, allowing us a precious reprieve from the relentless pursuit. Tangled in each other's arms on the bridge, the warmth of our shared embrace lingered like a comforting shield against the uncertainties ahead. Lyra's head rested against my chest, her steady breathing syncing with the ship's gentle hum, while Zara traced lazy patterns on my back, her touch a soothing reminder of our unbreakable connection. Nara nestled close, her small form fitting perfectly in the curve of my side, her neon blue hair, still streaked from the station's mishap, adding a whimsical glow to the dim lights. The prophecy's ritual loomed in our minds, a sacred merging that demanded not just our powers, but a profound vulnerability, an intimate union to awaken the forces within us. "The moon approaches," Lyra murmured, lifting her gaze to meet mine, her emerald eyes shimmering with a mix of anticipation and tenderness. "We must prepare, fully." The archive spoke of a bond that transcends words, one that ignites through complete surrender. Zara's violet eyes sparkled with that familiar mischief, softened now by the depth of our journey. "No more delays, Eli. We've faced battles and laughs, now let's embrace what the stars intended." She leaned in, her lips brushing mine in a gentle kiss that carried the promise of more. Her body pressing closer, curves molding against me in a way that stirred a deep, yearning warmth. Nara shifted, her sapphire eyes wide but resolute, her hand slipping into mine. "I'm ready too," she whispered, her voice carrying a budding confidence that tugged at my heart. The air grew thick with emotion, the ship's confines feeling intimate and sacred, like a cocoon woven from our shared experiences. We moved as one to the observation deck, the same space where our passions had first unfolded, the stars outside witnessing our progression. The ritual called for harmony, and we began with soft touches, shedding the barriers of clothing in a ritualistic flow that felt natural, reverent. Lyra's pale skin gleamed under the starlight, her form a vision of grace and allure as she guided us into a circle, hands linked to channel our essences. The connection deepened, bodies coming together in a dance of affection and trust. I held Lyra first, our movements slow and tender, her warmth enveloping me as we shared breaths and whispers, the sensation building like a gentle wave cresting toward fulfillment. Her sighs were melodies of release, her hold tightening in moments of shared bliss that amplified our psychic link, energies intertwining in a glow that filled the room. Zara joined seamlessly, her playful energy turning the moment into one of joyful exploration, her curves pressing with inviting softness as we moved in rhythm, laughter mingling with gasps of pleasure. The intimacy was profound, a celebration of our bond, each touch heightening the sensations until waves of ecstasy washed over us, her violet eyes locking onto mine in a gaze of pure connection. Nara approached with gentle curiosity, her innocence blending with newfound passion, our union careful and loving, building to a tender peak that left her trembling in contentment, her small frame held securely in my arms. Throughout, our essences merged, not just physically, but spiritually, the Zarathian glow enveloping us all, amplifying emotions into a symphony of unity. As we lay entwined afterward, bodies glistening with the afterglow, the ship's systems hummed in harmony as if the universe itself approved. The ritual had awakened something powerful within us, a surge of energy that pulsed through our veins, readying us for the trials ahead. Lyra's fingers intertwined with mine, her voice a soft caress. "We are one now, Eli. Stronger than before." Zara smiled, propping herself up to kiss my forehead. And just in time, the moon's pull is near. Nara snuggled closer, her neon hair fading back to white, a symbol of our transformation. The sacred moon loomed larger on the viewport, its surface a tapestry of ancient craters and glowing ruins, drawing us toward the final step of the prophecy. But in this afterglow of intimacy, doubts melted away, replaced by a fierce determination. Whatever awaited, be it Dravex armies or cosmic secrets, we would face it as a united force, our love the ultimate weapon in the HFY arsenal. Yet, as the ship descended, a subtle vibration hinted at incoming complications, the drama of our saga far from over, promising revelations that would challenge everything we thought we knew. The sacred moon's pull grew stronger as the rusty nebula descended through its thin atmosphere, the ship's hull vibrating with that subtle tremor that had begun as a mere hint, but now resonated like a foreboding heartbeat. The ancient craters and glowing ruins below sharpened into focus, their ethereal light casting long shadows across the desolate landscape, as if the moon itself were alive and watching our approach. In the afterglow of our ritual, a profound sense of unity enveloped us. Lyra's hand in mine, Zara's arm draped over my shoulders, Nara's head leaning against my side, our bodies still humming with the shared energy that had bound us closer than ever. Doubts had indeed melted away, leaving only a fierce determination that pulsed through our veins like the amplified Zarathian essence now coursing within me, a gift from our intimate merging that made me feel invincible, almost superhuman. We gathered on the bridge, the girls' white hair catching the moon's glow through the viewport, their elfin ears attuned to the subtle shifts in the air. "The ritual site is there," Lyra said softly, pointing to a central ruin that pulsed with faint blue energy, a beacon calling us home. "Once we complete the final merging on those sacred grounds, our powers will fully awaken. The Dravex won't stand a chance." Zara nodded, her violet eyes alight with excitement. "And with Eli as our anchor, humanity's spirit fueling the fire, HFY at its finest. Empires will crumble, sisters." Nara squeezed my hand, her sapphire gaze filled with unwavering trust. "We'll be heroes," she added, her voice a sweet echo of hope. The landing was smooth, the ship settling onto the moon's dusty surface with a gentle thud that stirred up clouds of luminescent particles, swirling around us like welcoming spirits. We suited up in environmental gear, light exosuits that hugged our forms, the girls' curvaceous figures still evident beneath the fabric, a reminder of the passions that had strengthened us. Stepping out onto the moon felt like entering a dreamscape. The air was breathable but thin, carrying whispers of ancient winds, and the ruins rose around us like forgotten temples, their walls etched with glowing runes that seemed to react to our presence, brightening as we approached. The path to the central chamber was lined with crystalline obelisks, each humming with latent power that resonated with the energy within us. As we walked, hand in hand, the drama of the moment built, an electric anticipation that made every step feel charged. "Feel that?" Zara murmured, her free hand trailing along an obelisk, sparks dancing under her fingers. "It's awakening because of us." We reached the heart of the ruins, a vast circular platform, encircled by floating orbs that began to orbit slowly as we stepped onto it, their light bathing us in a warm, inviting radiance. Lyra led the way, her regal poise guiding us to the center where a pedestal awaited, topped with a crystalline artifact that pulsed in sync with our heartbeats. "This is it," she breathed. "The final step. We must channel our united essence into the crystal, and the prophecy will fulfill itself." We formed a circle around the pedestal, linking hands once more, the intimacy of our earlier ritual echoing in the sacred act. Closing our eyes, we focused, pouring our combined energies, Zarathian psychic waves intertwined with my human resilience, into the artifact. It began to glow brighter, a surge of power building like a storm about to break, filling the air with a harmonious hum that vibrated through our bodies. But then, in the midst of this climactic convergence, the twist struck like a bolt from the void, shattering the harmony with a revelation that left us reeling. The crystal didn't just absorb our energy, it projected a holographic vision, unfolding before us in vivid detail, a recording from the past, hidden within the artifact, activated only by our unique bond. There, in the shimmering light, stood their father, the same hulking Zarathian from the bar, but not the broken, drunken fool I'd met. He appeared composed, regal even, his eyes sharp with purpose as he spoke directly to the projection, as if anticipating this moment. "Daughters," his voice boomed, deep and resonant, carrying none of the slur from that fateful night. "If you see this, then the plan has succeeded. I am not the failure you believe. The trade was no accident, it was a calculated deception. The Dravex didn't just wage war, they infiltrated our bloodline. I discovered too late that your mother, she was one of them, a spy who bore you as weapons in their arsenal. Your powers are hybrid, Zarathian grace fused with Dravex might, designed to serve their empire." The words hung in the air, a powerful twist that sucker-punched us all. Lyra's hand tightened in mine, her emerald eyes widening in shock. Zara gasped, her mischievous spark extinguished by betrayal's cold grip. Nara whimpered, clutching tighter, her innocence cracking under the weight. I stood frozen, the HFY fire within me flickering as the hologram continued. "To protect you and the galaxy, I feigned ruin, exiled us, and sought a human outsider. Humans, with their unyielding will, are the only beings immune to Dravex psychic control. Eli Thorne, if you are the one who claimed them, know this, you are the key not to shatter empires, but to redeem them. The girls carry a dormant virus in their essence, a Dravex failsafe that activates on this moon, turning them into unwitting conquerors. But your bond, your human love, can rewrite it, turning the weapon against its makers." The surprise deepened as the projection shifted, revealing schematics. Our intimate unions hadn't just empowered us. They'd begun altering their genetic code, infusing my human DNA to neutralize the Dravex influence. But the twist wasn't done. The moon's energy surged wildly now, triggered by the revelation, and alarms blared from the ship in the distance. Dravex vessels emerged from cloaked positions around the moon, their fleets materializing like ghosts, led by a massive flagship that broadcast a chilling hail. "Heirs of Dravex," a commanding voice echoed across the ruins. "Your awakening is at hand. Surrender to your true heritage, or perish with the human fool." Chaos erupted as the first shots rained down, blasting craters into the sacred ground. The powerful twist had upended everything. The girls weren't just princesses to save, they were potential enemies, their very blood a battlefield. Yet in that surprise, our bond held firm. Lyra turned to me, tears glistening on her pale cheeks. "Eli, we didn't know, but we choose you. We choose humanity." Zara rallied, her violet eyes fierce. "Let's turn this twist on its head. HFY style, fight back with everything we've got." Nara, trembling but resolute, nodded. "We're yours, not theirs." We channeled the surging energy, the crystal amplifying our altered essence into a defensive shield that repelled the incoming fire. The battle ignited anew, dramatic and thrilling, as we dodged blasts amid the ruins, our powers enhanced by the revelation, illusions from Nara multiplying our forms, psychic blasts from Lyra shattering enemy drones, Zara's agility turning debris into weapons. I fired my pulse rifle from cover, the HFY spark roaring back stronger, infused with the girls' hybrid strength. But the twist's surprise lingered. As we fought, flashes of Dravex instincts surfaced in them, Lyra's eyes flickering with alien rage, Zara's movements gaining a predatory edge, Nara's illusions twisting into nightmarish shapes. "Control it!" I shouted, pulling Lyra close mid-battle, our lips meeting in a desperate kiss that flooded her with human emotion, stabilizing her. The ritual pedestal became our stronghold, the crystal pulsing as we poured more of our united will into it, rewriting the virus step by step. Dravex ground troops beamed down, tentacled warriors charging with feral roars, but we held the line, our intimacy turned weapon turning the tide. One by one, we neutralized them, the surprise of their heritage fueling rather than fracturing us. As the flagship loomed overhead, preparing an orbital strike, the crystal reached critical mass. With a final surge, our hands linked, bodies pressed in a circle of defiance, the energy erupted outward, a wave that didn't destroy but transformed. It swept through the Dravex fleet, the rewritten virus infiltrating their systems, causing ships to falter, warriors to hesitate as their aggressive impulses dulled, replaced by echoes of Zarathian peace. The commander hailed again, voice cracking. "What have you done, the heirs? They've broken the cycle." In that moment of victory, the twist fully revealed its power. Their father hadn't sacrificed them out of weakness, but genius. The girls collapsed into my arms, exhausted but free, their Dravex sides integrated, not dominant. "We did it," Nara whispered, her small form shaking with relief. But as the moon quieted, a new hail came, not from enemies but allies. Zarathian loyalists, hidden in the shadows, emerging to hail us as saviors. The prophecy wasn't about shattering empires, but healing them through our surprising union. We returned to the ship, the twist leaving us forever changed. Bonds deeper, powers vast. Yet whispers of greater threats lingered, cosmic forces beyond Dravex, drawn by our awakening. For now, though, in the embrace of stars and each other, we savored the surprise that had turned peril into triumph. As we savored the surprise of our triumph, the rusty nebula lifting off from the sacred moon's surface with a triumphant roar of engines. The hails from Zarathian loyalists flooded our comms like a chorus of long-lost friends emerging from the shadows. Their voices crackled with awe and gratitude, ships materializing from hidden orbits to escort us, a ragtag fleet of sleek vessels bearing the Orali's crest, their hulls scarred from years of guerrilla resistance against the Dravex. "Heirs returned, the hybrid curse broken?" One captain exclaimed, his tone reverent, as if we'd just rewritten the stars themselves. Lyra stood at the viewport, her emerald eyes misting over, her hand pressed against the glass as if to touch the approaching formation. Zara flanked her, violet gaze sharp and calculating, while Nara bounced on her toes, her sapphire eyes wide with childlike wonder, her white hair still faintly glowing from the ritual's aftermath. The drama heightened almost immediately as we docked with their flagship, a colossal cruiser named the Eclipse Dawn, its corridors alive with bustling Zarathians, elegant beings with similar pale skin and elfin ears, but clad in armored suits that hummed with latent energy. We were ushered into a grand hall, crystal chandeliers floating overhead like captured comets, the air thick with the scent of exotic spices, and the murmur of 100 voices falling silent at our entrance. Their leader, an elder named Thaler, approached with arms outstretched, his robes flowing like liquid silver. "Daughters of Orales and the human catalyst," he intoned, his voice booming with dramatic flair. You have fulfilled the prophecy's hidden truth. The Dravex fleets retreat, their aggression tempered by your rewritten essence. Zarathia can rise anew. But as cheers erupted, an awkward undercurrent slithered in, coiling around us like an uninvited vine. Thaler turned his gaze to me, his eyes narrowing with a mix of respect and scrutiny. Eli Thorne, the outsider who? Claimed them, in every sense it seems. His words hung, laced with implication, and I felt heat creep up my neck as the room's attention shifted. Lyra stiffened beside me, her curvaceous form tensing under her exosuit, while Zara smirked, trying to play it off. Nara, bless her innocent heart, blurted out, "Yeah, Illy's our everything now, like really everything." The hall fell into a stunned silence, broken only by a few muffled chuckles, and I wished for a black hole to swallow me whole. The humor bubbled up in that awkward pause, Thaler clearing his throat with exaggerated pomp. "Well, the stars work in mysterious ways. Come, let us feast and plan the reclamation." We were swept into a banquet, tables laden with glowing fruits and shimmering delicacies from Zarathia, foods that pulsed with bioluminescence, making every bite feel like ingesting starlight. But the drama escalated as we sat, the loyalists peppering us with questions about the union that had saved them. One young warrior leaned in too close to Zara, his eyes lingering on her ample curves. "Tell me, heir, how did the humans, essence, integrate so seamlessly?" Zara batted her lashes, replying with a wink, "Oh, it was quite the integration, very hands-on." The warrior flushed a deep indigo, stammering apologies, while I choked on a luminescent berry, Nara giggling uncontrollably beside me. "Illy, your face is redder than a supernova." Lyra shot her sisters a warning glance, but the awkwardness only deepened when Thaler presented us with ceremonial robes for the Reclamation Council, flowing garments that were elegant but scandalously sheer in places, designed to symbolize vulnerability and unity. As we changed in a side chamber, the fabric clung to our forms like a second skin, accentuating every curve and muscle. I emerged feeling exposed, the robe barely concealing my build, only to find the girls in similar attire. Lyra's full breasts and hips outlined provocatively, Zara's lithe grace turned tantalizing, Nara's youthful figure highlighted in a way that made me avert my eyes. "This is traditional?" I asked, voice cracking. Zara twirled, the fabric swirling. "Absolutely. But on you, Illy. It's hilarious, like a human trying to wear a nebula." Nara snickered, pointing at a particularly revealing fold. "Look, it's got a mind of its own." The humor lightened the moment, but the drama lurked as we re-entered the hall, heads turning, whispers rippling like waves. The council convened amid this charged atmosphere, holographic maps projecting Zarathia's war-torn surface, cities in ruins, Dravex strongholds still smoldering from our transformative wave. Thaler outlined the plan, a ground assault to reclaim the capital, bolstered by our amplified powers. "With the air's hybrid strength and the human's resilience, we strike at dawn," he declared, his voice swelling with dramatic intensity. But as strategies unfolded, awkward situations piled on. A psychic link was proposed to coordinate the attack, requiring us to share minds in a group meld. Lyra explained it calmly, but when the link activated, flashes of our intimate memories leaked through, echoes of touches, sighs, and passions that broadcasted to the entire council. Thaler's eyes widened, a elder matron fanned herself, and I yanked out of the link, mortified. Technical glitch?" I offered weakly. Zara burst into laughter, clutching her sides. "Glitch, that was a highlight reel. Illy, you should see your expression, priceless." The humor diffused the tension, council members chuckling nervously, but it heightened the drama as real stakes emerged. Scouts reported Dravex remnants rallying under a splinter faction, unaffected by our wave, fanatics immune through some dark ritual, led by a warlord who claimed kinship to the girl's mother. "They know of your heritage," Thaler warned, the room growing somber. "They'll target you to reclaim the true heirs." Lyra's hand found mine under the table, her touch electric, grounding me amid the rising storm. Zara's mischievous spark turned fierce. "Let them try. We've got HFY on our side." Nara, trying to look tough, puffed up. "Yeah, we'll illusion them into thinking they're fighting space squirrels." Her quip drew laughs, but the awkwardness returned when a loyalist healer insisted on examining our integrated essences for stability, a process involving glowing probes that hovered uncomfortably close. "Just relax," the healer said, but as one buzzed near my robe, I swatted it away. "Whoa, personal space, buddy." The room erupted in mirth, even Thaler cracking a smile. As night fell on the eclipse dawn, simulated by dimming lights, we retreated to private quarters, the drama of the day weighing heavy. The room was opulent, with a massive bed floating on anti-grav fields, views of Zarathia twinkling below. But awkwardness followed us like a persistent comet. Undressing from the robes felt charged, our bodies still humming from the ritual, glances lingering longer than intended. Lyra slipped under the covers first, her pale skin inviting in the soft glow. Ili, join us, we need to. Reaffirm our bond before the battle. Zara slid in beside her, patting the space with a grin. Yeah, for strategic reasons. Nara hesitated, then dove in with a playful tackle, landing in a tangle that had us all laughing. Group hug, or whatever this is. The humor softened the edges, but as we entwined, the intimacy reignited, tender touches turning passionate, bodies pressing in a symphony of reassurance. Lyra's curves molded against me, her sighs dramatic in their depth, while Zara's agility added playful twists, her laughter mingling with moans. Nara's innocence bloomed into gentle exploration, her small form bringing a sweet awkwardness that made moments fumble adorably, like when she accidentally elbowed me, prompting a shared chuckle amid the heat. The drama built in waves of emotion, our union not just physical but a defiant stand against the coming storm, HFY spirit weaving through Zarathian grace. Dawn approached too soon, alarms pulling us from the warmth. Donning battle gear, armored versions of our robes that hugged curves and contours, the awkwardness peaked in the mirror. We looked like cosmic superheroes from a bad vid, fabrics shifting colors with our moods. I feel ridiculous, I admitted, striking a pose. Zara hip-bumped me. Ridiculously hot, you mean? Nara flexed dramatically. Super Eli and the Star Sisters. Her enthusiasm sparked laughs, lightening the heavy air as we boarded shuttles for the descent. The assault began with heart-pounding drama. Shuttles streaking through Zarathia's atmosphere, Dravex anti-air fire lighting the skies like fireworks gone wrong. We hit the ground running, ruins of crystal palaces crunching underfoot, our powers flaring. Lyra's psychic blasts cleared paths, shattering enemy barricades with dramatic explosions. Zara darted like a shadow, her blades dancing in lethal arcs, turning battles into acrobatic spectacles. Nara's illusions multiplied our forces, confusing foes into firing at phantoms. Hilariously, one Dravex warrior swung at a ghostly squirrel, tumbling into his comrades, but the drama heightened in the capital's heart, where the warlord awaited in a throne room of twisted Dravex tech. He was a monstrous hybrid, tentacles fused with machinery, his voice a guttural roar. Daughters, embrace your mother's legacy. The awkward revelation hit, flashes from the girls' suppressed memories surfacing, showing their mother's betrayal. Lyra faltered, emerald eyes tearing. She used us. Zara snarled, violet gaze blazing. Not anymore. Nara, in a humorous twist, projected an illusion of their mother as a comical caricature, distracting the warlord long enough for me to charge. The fight was visceral, dramatic clashes of energy and steel. I dodged tentacles, my enhanced strength infused from our bonds, allowing me to grapple the beast, HFY grit shining through. But awkwardness struck when a tentacle snagged my armor, ripping it partially, exposing skin in the midst of battle. Timing. I yelled, Zara quipping, strip fight? New strategy. Her humor fueled us, Lyra channeling a psychic surge that weakened him, Nara's illusions swarming like chaotic bees. In a climactic surge, we linked essences again, the warlord's attacks glancing off our shield. With a final, dramatic push, our united will overwhelming his defenses, he crumbled, the splinter faction surrendering in waves. Cheers echoed from loyalists as we stood victorious, but exhaustion brought awkward collapses, Nara tripping into a pile of debris, pulling us down in a heap, laughter bubbling amid tears. As Zarathia began to heal, the drama of reconstruction loomed, alliances to forge, wounds to mend. But in that moment, tangled once more, I felt the humor in our chaos, the awkwardness of our love, binding us eternally. Whispers of greater threats, ancient cosmic entities stirred by our power, hinted at adventures ahead, but for now, we basked in triumph, ready for whatever the stars threw next. As Zarathia began to heal under the watchful eyes of its reclaimed skies, the drama of reconstruction unfolded like a grand tapestry being woven anew. Alliances forged in bustling council halls, wounds mended through shared stories and psychic harmonies that echoed across the floating cities. But in that triumphant tangle amid the throne room's debris, where laughter mingled with the dust of battle, I felt the true essence of our bond. The humor in our chaos, the awkwardness of our love, binding us eternally in ways no prophecy could have foreseen. Whispers of greater threats, ancient cosmic entities stirred by the ripple of our awakened powers, hinted at adventures that might one day call us back to the void. But for now, We basked in the hard-won peace, our hearts aligned like stars in a constellation of our own making. Weeks turned to months as we settled into this new rhythm on Zarathia, the rusty nebula docked in a crystalline hangar that overlooked bioluminescent forests reclaiming the war-scarred lands. Lyra, ever the regal force, took her place among the leaders, her emerald eyes guiding the rebuilding with a wisdom deepened by our trials, her hand often finding mine during late-night strategy sessions, a silent promise of the intimacy that had saved us all. Zara, with her violet spark undimmed, became the innovator, tinkering in workshops to blend human tech with Zarathian mysticism, engines that hummed with psychic energy, shields woven from illusions, and her playful teases never failed to draw me into stolen moments of passion, her curvaceous form a constant reminder of the fire we'd ignited together. Nara, blossoming from innocence into a vibrant young woman, filled the days with her boundless curiosity, her sapphire gaze exploring the world's wonders, while her illusions brought joy to the children of Zarathia, turning reconstruction sites into playgrounds of wonder. She'd tug at my sleeve with that endearing awkwardness, pulling me into dances under the twin moons, her small frame fitting perfectly against mine as we swayed, laughter bubbling up like the first time we'd shared a clumsy embrace amid the stars. And me? Eli Thorne, the ordinary human who'd stumbled into heroism, found a home in this extraordinary world. The HFY spirit that had driven me through bar trades, battles, and bonds now infused every aspect of our life, teaching Zarathians the unyielding grit of humanity, from impromptu barbecues with replicated earth foods that left them wide-eyed and giggling, to stories of our blue planet that inspired new explorations. But it was in the quiet evenings, gathered on a balcony overlooking the reborn horizon, that the true ending crystallized. Lyra nestled against one side, her white hair cascading like a veil of peace, Zara on the other, mischievous touch tracing patterns of affection, Nara curled in my lap, her elfin ears twitching at the distant calls of night creatures. We started as a drunken deal. I murmured one such night, the stars wheeling above in a familiar dance. But look at us now, a family that defied empires. Lyra lifted her head, her lips curving in that melody of a smile. Not defied, Eli, transformed, your love rewrote our fates. Zara leaned in, her kiss light on my cheek, and added some fun along the way. Who knew saving the galaxy could be so intimate? Nara giggled, hugging us tighter. The best adventure ever, with the best dad-brother hero. As the moons rose higher, bathing us in their gentle glow, a sense of completeness washed over me, like the final note in a symphony that had played through chaos and triumph. The cosmic entities might lurk in the shadows, their ancient eyes turning toward our light, but whatever storms they brewed, we'd face them together, our union an unbreakable force. For in the vast tapestry of the universe, we'd carved our own legend. A tale of humanity's heart conquering the stars, one awkward, humorous, passionate step at a time. And as we drifted into sleep under that celestial canopy, the rusty nebula waiting patiently for our next call, I knew this wasn't just an ending. It was the beginning of forever, etched in the bonds of love that no void could sever. And as the moons faded into dawn's embrace, our story of unlikely heroes and cosmic love drew to a close, leaving echoes of adventure across the stars. Personally, I love how this tale celebrates humanity's unbreakable spirit, HFY at its finest, blending romance, action, and heartwarming bonds. What do you think? Would you want to see Eli and the girls face those ancient threats next? Thank you all for watching. Your likes, subs, comments, and shares are our biggest motivation to create even better stories. Hit that button and let's keep the adventure going.